If knowledge is power, then why don't more countries spend more money on education? Think about it. You're listening to Lofi Poli Sci. Welcome. Don't adjust your dial. Lofi Poli Sci coming at you. Michael Pickering here, talking about our famous question: what's going on in the world today? And we've got a wonderful top 10 list for you people. Today we're looking at the World Bank data on the top 10 education spending countries, as measured by government expenditures on education as a total of percent of GDP. That's country's gross domestic product. So that's what we're talking about here. We're going to take all the money that a country makes in 1 year and then see what percentage of all that money actually goes to education. And look, not all countries that the World Bank has data on is so recent. So I decided that we're going to do a subsection of their list, and I'm limiting to only countries that have data from 2019 to today. And any countries listed before that, I did not include. But enough of the nerd talk, let's get to the list, right? The top 10 education spending countries are, drumroll, I don't know if I'll do that ever. Well, that was kind of. I'm not editing that. I just had to enter monologue. It's summertime. I'm not editing. Number 1. No, number 10. Yes, go to number 10 first. Do number 10, then down. What's happening to me today? Should I stop this? Should I just restart? Edit? To edit or not to edit? What do you think Shakespeare did? Did he write everything just in one draft? Or did he, just Shakespeare it out? In Shakespeare, that makes me think, how far backwards in time could you go before you couldn't understand the people? Like, for instance, if you time travel back in England, where English is from, if you didn't know, now you know. But if you travel back in time in England, say the 1800s, yeah, you'll be able to understand each other. 1700s, sure. 1500s, though? 1600s? Would we still understand that stuff that they call English? Question mark? Just a little food for thought for you. Anyway, top 10 education spending countries are, and tied for number 10, Lesotho, Belize, and Botswana, who all spent 8.7% of their GDP on education. Number 7, Sierra Leone, with 9.1% of their GDP being spent on education. Number 6, Namibia, at 9.6%. And now to our top 5. Number 5, the Federated States of Micronesia, with 9.7% of their GDP being spent on education. Number 4 is Bolivia at 9.8%. Number 3, Kiribati with 12.4%. Getting up there percentages, people. Number 2, Solomon Islands, 12.8%. And number 1, the country with the highest spending on education as a percent of their yearly GDP. I'll give you a silent 20 count to see if you can think it over, to see if you can figure out, who do you think spends the highest proportion of their GDP on education out of all the countries in the world? And spoiler alert, it is most certainly not the United States. 20 seconds, go. And number 1, the country with the highest spending on education as a percent of their yearly GDP? Marshall Islands, spending 13.6% of their yearly GDP on education. I love it so much. And so let's recap it, all right? Our top 10 spenders are Lesotho, Belize, Botswana, Sierra Leone, Namibia, Federated States of Micronesia, Bolivia, Kiribati, Solomon Islands, Marshall Islands. And that's our top 10. And I know you may be wanting to go ahead and think, well, what's this list mean? But really, this list is a bit deceptive. And it's deceptive because I happen to also be looking at the 10 countries with the least amount of spending on education as a percent of their GDP. And the comparison between the two is quite illuminating. But for that, well, you'll just have to come back next week for the 10 least education spending countries in the world. And will the US be on that list or not? Oh, I bet you're wondering, but I bet you're not going to look it up before then. And that's this Tuesday's Top 10 list. Don't forget to add us on Instagram, people. Get all your local lo-fi summertime updates. And always remember that Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Talk to you tomorrow, Lo-Fi listeners. Pickering, signing off.